hello my internet friends. We're just getting ready to leave Canada, and I am sad to report this is very rough on me. The Desert Sunrise, my brand new mountain bike, is no more. I stayed at my family's house in London, and a thief came by and stole the bike from their garage. So what do you do when somebody steals your mountain bike and you're traveling? Honestly, I'm not completely sure yet. I made a report to the police, put the bike up on the 529 project, called all the pawn shops, drove around looking for the bike. Called American Express because I bought the bike on the Amex, and they said their theft protection only extends 90 days. I've had the bike about a year. And I called the trailer insurance company, and that only covers obviously the trailer. It doesn't cover theft of items, but I thought I would give it a try. So we're gonna give homeowners insurance a try, both mine and my family's. So we'll see how that goes. The plan as of today for somebody who runs a mountain biking channel without a mountain bike, we're gonna head over to Colorado. I'm gonna buy what I'm gonna refer to as a spare bike and order up another Project One. Yeah. So the Project One bikes are running very late. Last I heard, they were 12 months out. So I may be riding this spare for quite some time. So in the meantime, we'll regale you with some of the footage here of the thief in action. That video came from our neighbor, and we think we left the garage door open that night. We're pretty sure. And so my bike was the outermost bike in the garage because I've been riding quite a bit here. They had seconds to go in, so we think, we're pretty sure this guy has no idea what he's got. Pretty sure. It was just the most convenient bike. As you can see, he just grabs it and rides off. So as far as how I feel about this, obviously, of course, I'm upset, but you know, here's where I stand on this. If this is where you are in life, you have to steal bikes. You need that bike more than I do. Good luck with it. Okay, well, it's been a couple days, and I have an update for you. What do you do when you're on the road and your mountain bike is stolen? Well, it turns out my homeowner's insurance does cover situations like this. The older I get in life, sadly, I am getting older. I learned my assumptions are wrong, and I was certain that this would be not covered because we're in another country and I'm not at home. But my claims adjuster indicated this would be covered, and I've uploaded an extraordinary amount of documentation for them. The theft footage, the police report from the City of London, all of the receipts, of course, and extensive correspondence over what was and was not on the bike at the time of the theft. For example, just to make it sting that much more, my Garmin Edge was on the bike when it was stolen. Some parts were in that storage down tube. So I was probably, I would say, handily, once you put the pedals, the grips, the new chain ring, stuff like that, I think it was another $1,000 worth of stuff that was on that bike. So yeah, we'll know for sure when the money's in my account, but preliminary indications are that homeowners insurance will cover this. On another front, I would like to just give An enormous shout out to Landis Cyclery, specifically store number 4 in South Tempe. Our relationship with that store has been strong ever since we met them back in 2010. And Keith, specifically, this is a shout out to you. I left a message with Landis the day the bike was stolen. And Monday morning before the store had even opened, Keith got the message. And he knows me so well now, he preemptively looked in their inventory and saw that we had a 1 in a million chance. There's a Trek/7, and with Trek Factory Orange in stock large. Unbelievable. So he transferred the bike to their store, got it in a box, called me and said, "Do you want this bike?" And I said, "Of course I do." So we hooked it up with bike flights, and Keith shipped it out. So that bike will be meeting me in Denver in a couple of days here. So for somebody who co-operates a mountain biking channel, I no longer am without a mountain bike. I will have what I'm going to consider to be my backup bike or a spare. So that's going to be the aluminum version of my Project 1 bike instead of carbon. Absolutely rideable. And this does solve a problem that I've been highly reluctant to solve because of money, of course. What would I ever have done if my main rig was out of action for several weeks or more, which sometimes happens? Well, now I have a backup bike. So my next update, I'll let you know how the insurance situation went. Fingers crossed. And we'll introduce you to our new backup bike and back on the road. We're back on the trail. Okay, internet friends, next update. I would like to introduce you to Long Shot. She's a long shot because I got a Trek/7 on no notice. She's going to be my gorgeous backup rig. We are going to have a beautiful relationship. And I would like to do a shout out to Trek Bicycles right here in Highlands Ranch. They hooked me up. They put the bike together. They got some parts on order for me. Got the mounts up here, the K-Edge, so I can ride with the computer. And I'm back in business. So, and final update about the insurance. I would also like to give a big shout out to Allstate. They came through for me. They gave me a settlement today in cash that fully paid for the replacement cost of the new bike. She's on order. It'll take 16 months, but incredible. As I said in our first section, the older I get, the more I realize how wrong my assumptions are, and I assumed that this would not be covered, but it was. And Allstate was courteous, fast, clear. They made the payment easy through direct deposit. So, and because of that, I'm able to go and pay for a replacement rig, get that on order. So we're back in business. Hey there, internet. So it's been about 8 weeks since I shot that video. So why 8 weeks? Well, the 8 weeks has been absorbed by me getting to know the Long Shot. Fred mentioned we're here in Moab right now, and he mentioned I should probably do a quick walkthrough on the components, and then I will give you some ride impressions. So let's do a walkthrough. So we have an aluminum frame, and it is a Trek/7 with the traditional in-frame storage. More on that later. Rear shock is a Deluxe Select Plus from RockShox, and we have a Lyric shock from RockShox for the fork, and we have SLX cranks, Dior brakes, and we have SLX shifters. And the drivetrain was a mixture of XT and SLX, and more on that in a little bit. And then finally the wheels are line comp 30s. You guys know Fred and I, we always ride with the Ascent up front and the DHR2 on the rear, so I immediately took off the tires that came with the bike and put these on. So that's just the way I am. I also threw on the Saints because those are my favorite pedals in the entire world. And evidently this dropper is called a Transex. I've never heard of this particular brand, but I will say just straight away, it's been quite nice. No play, and it just does its job. It works really very well. So okay, so that's the walkthrough here. You've heard me give you the breakdown of all the components. So now let's talk a little bit about ride impressions. So I think what I've discovered riding this bike is that I am riding with a physics engine that I built in my mind around what my /99 was like, and I assumed that the aluminum version would be a close cousin, and it's turning out to be a distant cousin. Because of that, I've already had a few incidents on my rides that are uncommon for me, and I'm attributing those to I'm getting used to this geometry, right? I'm building a new physics engine for this rig, and I think primarily what I'm seeing is first of all, these line comp 30s are really mushy. They're quite flexible, and I kind of liken it to riding on warm gummy bears. And so you set up on a line and they're not stiff, and I find I'm getting knocked off my line by outputs from the bike that I don't expect, right? And so it's taken me a little while riding here on the Slick Rock to kind of begin to build a new model in my mind about what this bike is like in that regard. Also, you may notice here there are some ice rotors. There's 203s. I put those on because I couldn't stand the Dior brakes. They squeal badly. These rotors have nearly solved that, but when they get quite hot, the brakes still squeal. Now, I would normally solve this problem by throwing a set of DT Swiss FRs on here and some Saint brakes, but Landis has reported really good news, which is that the new /9.8 that I have ordered, the carbon, is coming early. It's going to be here at the end of November, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to dump much more money into this rig. She'll serve faithfully as a good backup. I am toying with the idea of maybe once a year just doing one little upgrade here or there, so probably the first upgrade really would be these wheels. But so the ride impressions are that the bike as configured is surprisingly flexible. The second thing is this fork, is sort of between the Pike and the Zeb, and I am finding it very flexible. And again, that's leading to me for a little bit of surprise when I'm on certain descents and I get outputs that I'm not quite expecting. And my favorite descent out here at Moab is Klondike Bluffs, and specifically Baby Steps. And I found at my most recent descent when I was through, my hands were uncommonly sore in my wrists, and I think primarily it's because this is all aluminum componentry, so all that high frequency chatter is making its way through the frame, through the aluminum, all the way right up into the grips, and I feel it, so it was an unfamiliar feeling for me, and it's sort of awakened feelings somewhat of guilt that I fancy myself a competent mountain bike rider, and now I'm beginning to wonder how much of that has been just riding really superb equipment. And then lastly, one little ding against Trek. This is an 8-week-old mountain bike, so essentially brand new, and yes, it is being held together by duct tape. The duct tape is here because this armor fell off in a descent a few weeks ago, and I discovered that there's virtually no epoxy, almost at all. And so Keith has already put in for a warranty kit. Hopefully it comes with a full tube of epoxy and he can replace this, but that's a bit frustrating. So Otherwise, yeah, you know, this bike was $3,500 out of the box, and with the pedals and the new bike computer, because of course the other one was on the 9.9 when it was stolen, and the grips, plus some changes to the drivetrain. I think we're up to about this bike being about a $5,000 bike. And so last little bit about the drivetrain there. So the issue I was having, it started essentially the day I threw a leg over the bike when it was assembled, is in the mid-range on the cassette. I was getting a really bad grinding noise, similar to a bike that needs a barrel adjusting or maybe a little bit of tweak on the B limit, but couldn't barrel adjust it out, and none of the techs that I brought it to could figure it out either. And so I resorted to throwing money at it. So I pulled the SLX cassette off and put on an XT, and it was still manifesting. I replaced the XT derailleur, still having the problem. I threw a new chainring on there. Now, honestly, the reason the chainring is on there is a 28 tooth snaggle tooth, is just because I couldn't find a 28 tooth Shimano, but that made no difference. I had down here in Moab at Poison Spider, they checked the derailleur hanger and they say it's straight. So the final thing was a new chain, so that's actually just been put on. That's an XT. I did notice immediately riding around in the parking lot that the issue, at least there, does seem to be solved. So we're gonna find out when I do a little more climbing, but that bothers me. I think, you know, the armor issue and the drivetrain issue for a brand new out of the box $3,500 bike is pretty frustrating. So I would argue possibly we're seeing maybe a slight drop in quality post-COVID. I'm not sure, maybe I just got unlucky, but on the good side, I am riding, and this bike will be an excellent backup when the main rig is down, and we will have many years of riding together. Okay, I promised I would circle back, talk a little bit about the in-frame storage. So having my bike stolen was not only influential on me getting a new replacement bike, but has changed my behavior. And so one of the things that I've done, in addition to becoming insanely paranoid about locks, is I have AirTagged this bike. So an AirTag is a small little coin-shaped device that comes from Apple, and I bought the Muc-Off AirTag holder, and so you cannot see it, but inside the stem here, right up and about here, is a holder that is holding an AirTag. The Muc-Off AirTag holder says it's only designed for the rear, so I think this is pretty cool. It's pretty stealthy. You cannot actually see that this bike has an AirTag in it. I also put a second AirTag in, and I put it in the down tube storage here, and I'll slap up a little video here of me pulling this out and unpacking it for you. Why two AirTags? It's just my emotional reaction to theft. I'm hoping that perhaps if somebody realizes the bike is AirTagged by looking in the down tube, it won't occur to them there's a stealth one inside the actual wheel there. So, I'll slap up a little video here for you to show you what it looks like from the iPhone, but you can do a Find My Devices, and I've named both of these AirTags. And when you do that, it's a fascinating Apple technology. Whenever an iPhone comes in proximity of the AirTags, it will report their location to Apple's iCloud, and then I can dial in and see where that was reported from. So it doesn't even have to be my phone. And already it's been kind of amazing. Sometimes when I've left the bike at a store to have it serviced, I can check on it and see if it's still there. So that's pretty neat. So far I'm absolutely delighted with the AirTags. Also, you can configure your phone to alert you in the event that you drive away and you leave your AirTags behind. Of course, that's a common occurrence with the bike, but I've left that feature turned on because it forces me to remember at least whether or not I've also locked the bike when I left it behind. So I am thrilled with the AirTags. If you're wondering, they take a 2032 battery. Apple claims they will last about 6 months with normal use. I already had one AirTag, the down tube AirTag, sputter out in only 2 months. So I'm chalking that up to it probably was on the shelf for a long time before I finally bought it, but that's okay. 2 months is all right too. If it helps me find this bike, should it ever be pinched, that's fine. Good morning, Internet. See this? Yeah, it's a smile. I'm mountain biking. So I'm here at Phil's World Trail System in Cortez, Colorado at the Abajo or Bajo Outlook. And yeah, it's been about 10 weeks since the incident. And I thought that I'd make this my final chapter. Editing up the video, I can kind of see what a bummer it is, right? What a drag my emotions are, and how down I am in the initial part of the video. And thought I would tie it off with an up note, you know. And you know, that upbeat note is, I just wanted to point out, like, you know, I'm riding. I'm done. I got a bike. I'm riding. Get my endorphins. Get to do stuff like this. And I just wanted to point out, you know, out of this little miniature disaster of mine, look how many people rallied to help me. It's really humbling. You know, Keith at Landis, scrambling to get me a bike, helping me do the bike flights. Fred, grabbing some parts that he had on hand and running down to the bike store and giving them to Keith to get shipped. And, you know, Seth and Isaac over at the bike store Trek Bicycles in Highlands Ranch, you know, upending their schedule to put the bike together for me, and my mom for letting me ship the bike to Denver, and you know, my family in Canada, you know, their insurance came through too and like covered the deductible for my homeowner's insurance. So just it's really humbling, you know, out of this little miniature disaster. We have a new bike is coming. We have green shoots of opportunity, and it shows me how much I appreciate all of my friends and family that rallied around me, and it's humbling. It leaves me really enriched for the experience, which is surprising. And last little note, I just thought you guys would find this interesting. The bike did turn up about a month after we left Canada. My family up there had mobilized their social network, and somebody spotted the bike. It was found, and I wrote the London police. I gave them down to the address where the bike is, and they elected not to respond. And you know, that's okay. Why is that okay? You know, like I said, whoever took the bike, you needed it more than I did, and we have a new one coming. So from the ashes of this fire shall rise a new opportunity. So I'm riding. Thank you to all my friends and family. And yeah, life's good.